How's it going, everybody? My name is EnvyTH, and welcome to the first ever Nerd House. I think we're settled on Nerd House being the name for this podcast. It may change, it may not by the time this podcast uploads. So I'll probably just edit in over whatever the other name is. I was thinking Nerdcast, I was thinking Nerd House, Nerd Hut, and everything else was taking except Nerd House, Nerd Hub. You know what? I might put Nerd Hub. You know, I might do that. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. Comment down below. It's not too late. It's not too late. But even though it's a little bit late, technically though, it's not. Season's not over. We're going to be here talking about Stranger Things. I am joined with my good friend, Dragon Origins, who you may be familiar with if you've gone on my gaming channel and have seen the Triple D's podcast, which is coming to an end. I want to say soon, but it takes us forever to shoot one episode of a fucking podcast. So whenever we hit 10 episodes, a new episode of a podcast just dropped late last night, episode 6.5, not 7. And yeah, 6, 7, whatever. And yeah, so we're slowly transitioning from that podcast being on here, but it's not going to be the Triple D's podcast. It's going to be something else. Gabriel no longer wants to do these podcasts. Lix is fine doing the podcast as long as we can have good scheduling. So you might see him on this podcast more than anyone. But point is, we're going to be here talking about Stranger Things Season 5, but not just Stranger Things Season 5, just Stranger Things as a show in total. And to start off this podcast, I want to say, what do you think of Stranger Things as in total so far?
I think, in general, as a show, Stranger Things has proven itself to be like very, very iconic, very cultural, and how it's influenced the way we've seen other shows that have come after it. Like, it's definitely influenced the TV scope in general. And overall, I think it's a good show. I think it's very enjoyable, regardless of whether or not your opinions on like, oh, it should have ended at season 1, or oh, it's bad now. I think as a total, looking at it as a whole, it's a good show.
I think anyone who says Stranger Things. Yes, I think anyone who says Stranger Things is a bad show now is just dumb. Is it dragged out? Yes, but it's like the Duffer Brothers have been doing good writing with it being dragged out. Being how far we are into the show has amazing writing. By the way, I want to apologize as well. He's gonna sound fine. If I sound a little tired, it's 10 in the morning. I literally woke up 20 minutes ago. Thankfully, I've remembered to set my alarm, and usually I wake up before my alarm. So I set it at 10 o'clock.
Oh, that's what you meant by setting the alarm now. Oh, I thought you were making an alarm for me so that I wasn't going to be late to record.
No. I set an alarm for me. I set an alarm for me because I knew I wasn't gonna wake up that early if I didn't have anything to do. So when I set an alarm, the way my brain works is, I don't know if anyone else has this. When I set an alarm, it's like I have to wake up 20 minutes before that alarm every time. Yeah, it happens to me. Sometimes it doesn't, but most times I have to wake up 20 minutes before that alarm. So when I set the alarm, I woke up at 9:40 instead of 10 o'clock, which wasn't exactly planned. I was kind of just going from 10 o'clock and just jump right into it. I was going to have nasty hair and everything, but I had time to do my hair, so I was fine with that. But
we got time for this, bro. We got an hour cap.
Yes, we got an hour. We got an hour time cap. So we're talking about Stranger Things. I think anyone who says anything about it being a bad show, they're just lying. They're lying to themselves. Like, it's not a bad show. I can fully understand if you think you should stop at season 1.
Yeah, if you think the show has gotten worse, I'll understand your opinions, but saying outright that it's a bad show entirely is just
no. Like, I think if Stranger Things had stopped at season 1, it would still hold as much as an impact as is already have with the multiple seasons already. But like it wasn't until season 3 I think people were starting to feel like the show's losing its touch, because season 3 does feel like a filler season just a little bit, but I still love season 3. I think season 3 is really good. I don't think the show has a bad season. Does it have as good of a season as season 1? Well, that may be one of the hot takes coming up. We'll see when it comes to that. But the show's never had a bad season. It may have had one bad episode, and I'm sure everyone knows what episode I'm talking about. But even when you rewatch that episode, it's not that bad. It's not that bad of an episode. It just feels a little pointless, just a little bit. But we are going to be going in straight from, we might as well start, because I want this to be a main review on Stranger Things Volume 1, Season 5, which was only 4 episodes. But before we get into that, considering there's probably not much to review about, let's go out throughout the history of the show. To you personally, what do you think is the best season?
Objectively, I think season 1 is the best season the show's ever had, but my favorite season is season 3. Like I love season 3 and the vibes, all of it.
I love that. A lot of people find like that crazy to hear. Season 3 has one of the best settings in all of the show. The Starcourt Mall is just bright, beautiful colored. The style of the show itself, like seeing all the kids like wearing the different colored outfits. The 4th of July, it was a great setting. The carnival, great fucking setting, absolute great setting. I can understand why people would make the argument that it feels a little bit like a filler season because of it's more focused on the Russians than it is the Upside Down. Like the reason the Mind Flayer is back is because the Russians open up the portal just a little bit to where the remains of the Mind Flayer that was in the world after season 2 that came out of Will is now back. And it makes perfect sense. I mean, like I know some people find that that little plot area weird, but like Russians in, well, we still do now, but we're not gonna dive deep into that. But like back in the 80s, everyone was on prepare of a war coming, a World War III coming between Russia and the United States. It was bad back in the 80s. So seeing some shit like that happen in the 80s makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. Yeah. Now, I think I'm gonna agree with you slightly. I think the best season is in fact season 1. It doesn't get more nostalgic than that, and it was the start of it all. And there's nothing wrong about season 1 at all. There's nothing. That season's perfect. However, season 3 wouldn't be my favorite season. It would have been had season 4 not come out directly after. I think season 4 is honestly my favorite season because I don't think any season of Stranger Things had me like out of my chair as much as season 4 did. Like the Dear Billy episode, Max running to escape Vecna had me at the edge of my seat. Eddie's guitar solo had me at the edge of my seat. The mind fight had me at the edge of my seat. Anytime Vecna was on the screen, it really had me at the edge of my seat because Vecna, if you thought he was on Demon Time in season 4, wait till you see season 5. But he wasn't playing in season 4 either. He was not playing. Once it was like,
notice how you notice how all the moments you just listed are from one storyline in the show? There are 3 other storylines going on in that season. And that's true.
Like, that's true.
I think season 4 might be the worst season simply because half of it is just unwatchable and boring. Like the Russia plotline, that shit is so boring. Such a snooze fest. Like I understand we care about Hopper and we want him out and stuff, but it's like, oh my god, I do not care.
I do kind of agree with the Russian plotline, especially when it feels rehashed a lot. Like when he first escapes Russia, I'm pretty sure that was in episode 4 as well. That was a good moment of episode 4 where he first escaped the Russian prison, and then next thing you know, you find out that Yuri, the guy who was supposed to take him back to America, actually sabotaged him, and he ends up back in the Russian prison. And then later on in the season, both him and Enzo escape again. But Enzo, who's the prison guard, spoilers, by the way, this is a huge spoiler warning if you haven't seen the show. I suggest you watch it. But when him and Enzo escape the prison again, and then they leave the prison, and then they go back to the prison because they would think that it would help along with their fight with whatever the kids is doing in Hawkins, which it did. It did, but it's like they didn't need to be there in the first place. Yes,
they could have just gotten Hopper out a long ass time ago.
Yes, it was dragged out. I do agree with that, but I like this. This is one reason why I defend that whole fucking Russian storyline in season 4. I defend it just simply because of that Demogorgon scene. That Demogorgon prison scene is one of the best scenes in the entire show. Seeing the Demogorgon move like that, and I remember like watching beforehand, like before the season came out, the Duffer Brothers were really excited about that scene because it was the first time you get to see the Demogorgon in an open space. Rather, like in the first 2 seasons, it's like the Demogorgon or the Demodogs, they're in small spaces. And the craziest you really got to see the Demodogs is when they were like charging Bob, which was a sad moment. But like you never really got to see the Demogorgons or the Demogorgons do anything crazy, not until that season. Especially season 1, where the season 1, the Demogorgon doesn't really look like it moves fast enough, which it does, but based on the budget of the show, obviously you don't see it that much. And it's also really dark and shit, so you don't really see the Demogorgon that much. But in that season, Demogorgons hopping walls like fucking Spider-Man. That scene's awesome. I love that scene. The Demogorgon is easily one of the best fictional antagonist type characters or monsters to ever exist. The whole what's the word I'm looking for? What's the fucking word? Like, idea of a Demogorgon is just very fucking interesting. They're very cool creatures. Like the fact that they just don't have a face, but they're still able to see somehow. They have a fucking gaping hole in their mouth that I'm sure a lot of men will. Okay. You know. Stop. Yeah. you know.
Have you seen the clip of that one guy? He was like, if the Demogorgon didn't have teeth, would you put your dick in it? And the other guy was like, yeah, because it fucking wraps around.
Oh my god.
Bro, yo, those guys are funny as hell, man.
I can't. Look, those guys. Are you talking about? You're not talking about the Escape Podcast guys, are you?
Yeah, the Escape Podcast. Fucking hack.
They said that? Oh, I gotta watch that.
Yeah.
I gotta watch that. I never said that. I never saw that. That sounds like some shit they would say. You said those guys. I was like, he's not talking about the escape room. Well, not escape room. The Escape Podcast guys, Andrew and Hat guy, and he is. Shout out to those guys, by the way. Hence the reason I made a podcast on the channel. But yeah, I just the whole idea of a Demogorgon is fascinating about me. And seeing that scene, I was waiting for that scene. But there's a lot of stories in season 4 that is very dragged out. Like the memory shit that goes on with 11 and like her remembering her pat. Someone's calling me.
Bruh.
Hello?
Speaking.
All right. W timing, Alex. Some managers.
Yeah.
But what are we even talking about?
Oh, you were talking about 11 and her mind shit. We're discovering her.
Yes.
memories.
That part of that storyline is very, very dragged out. It lasts a very, very long time. However, it leads to an incredible part of the story where you not only learn who one was, because tall white boy who's telling you that one doesn't exist, oh, he actually is one. And the next thing you know, a double reveal happens where he's not just one, he's Vecna. And then another reveal happens where he's not just one, he's Vecna. He's been the one doing this entire time. Which is crazy reveal. Crazy ass reveal, which is why it was the most popular episode up until the most recent episode.
I do slightly want to get into the fact that when you watch season 4, you can tell that, like, no matter how much the Duffer Brothers say, like, oh, they had it all planned out, they didn't. Because season 4 actively contradicts a lot of what was set up in season 1 and season 2, especially in regards to number 8 and Kali and her powers. Because it's like, oh, like, sure, 11 and 8 both grew up in the same, like, lab. And then we meet 8 and she goes, I escaped, blah, 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 blah. And then when we actually go back to those labs in 11's memories, they have to retcon it and go, oh, yeah. Oh, I know you're sad because 8 escaped a few months ago. But then it's like 8 escaped and left like 14 other children in there.
Right.
Like, that's messed up. And it's also, you can tell they were trying to go in a different directions with this, because Elle's like main power was the telekinesis. Like, that's her main thing. But then also as a side power, she can do like the blindfold mind.
Yeah, tap into the mind and see what's going on in the void, which is what they called it.
Yeah, and so when we meet 8, the first thing she does, she doesn't like break blocks or whatever. Like she destroys it, but then we find out that it's just an illusion. It doesn't actually happen. And so you start thinking, oh, these two have separate powers. She's more mental based. Elle is like an actual physical character. But then we meet the other kids again in season 4, and they all just do the same push shove, push shove, push shove. So it's like, why can't Kali do that? Is Kali different somehow?
Yes, that's a very, very interesting theory that I don't think it's ever really talked about much, because people fucking hate. Ooh, gotta censor that. I gotta remember. I don't curse on this channel. I gotta remember that. People hate Kali so much. They hate that episode so much that they don't brace upon such an interesting theory is why is her power so different? Everyone else's powers were pretty much exactly the same. Why is hers the only one that is like straight up different? It's like, yeah, her power still involved the mind and everything, but she doesn't have telekinesis. She could just make you see shit that's not really there. So why is that? That's such an interesting thing, and I really hope they do explain that, because that's such a, I don't know why no one's ever thought about that. I don't know why no one else ever thinks about that.
Like, and there's also, in the few episodes that we got to know Kali, there was no inclination that she could do the mind stuff either. No, there wasn't. So, cause doesn't Elle do it like in their hideout to like spy on Mike and the other people? And yeah, Kali's like, "What are you doing?" Like, she questions what she's doing. Or I don't know, cause I haven't seen the show or that specific season in a while, so I don't remember if she actually like addresses that. Is she calling you again?
All right. Which means this episode will have to, it means we will have to stop shooting once 11 hits, because that's when I have to leave. So, yeah. Thankfully, we got a 1 hour time cap.
It's not even an hour at this point. It's going to be like 47 minutes.
It's going to be short, yes, but that's fine. That's fine. It's the first podcast. It's the pilot.
All right, back to what I was saying. Because, again, there's no inclination that Kali knows how to do the mind stuff. When I was first watching season 2, way back when it dropped, I immediately thought, oh, if the show continues, they're going to introduce other kids with different telekinetic-based powers.
Yeah, I feel like that's what everyone thought.
Yeah, you don't name 11-11 and 8-8 without having 1 through 7 and then 9 and 10. And so I was like, oh, they're going to introduce other kids. Maybe not all of them, but some of them. And then immediately just, they all just do the same push-up. But what I'm just now realizing...
And then there was a lot more than 10, too. Like, that shit went up to, like, 8, like, 20, I think.
Yeah. What I'm just now realizing... are we allowed to do spoilers for Volume 1 of Season 5, right? Like, because it's been out for a while.
Yes. There's a huge spoiler warning for anything of the show. Anything of the show leading up to Volume 5. Complete spoiler warning.
What I'm realizing now is what Kali can do is incredibly similar to what Vecna can do, making you see stuff in your mind.
Yes. Someone pointed that out.
I think what it is they're doing it in 2 different ways. Like, Vecna actively takes you into his mind and makes you see what he's thinking in his mind. Yes. That's what's going on with, I think, Holly. Like, Holly's like in the fucking cavern thing, and her mind is in Vecna's. Same with Max, but Max is sort of like a outside force that he's not really aware of. Like, he didn't realize that he accidentally captured Max in there. But what Kali is doing is she's projecting her thoughts onto somebody else.
Exactly.
So I think that's why they have her captured. Because we understand that in season 4 they assumed that it was 11 who was doing all of the Vecna murders, and that's why they went after her. So what I think they're doing now is they're using Kali to project her powers out. I don't know exactly what for, but they're using her powers to project images outwards. Maybe they're trying to find Vecna as well, but I'm not entirely sure.
You know what was a small thought to me? Like I said, huge spoiler warnings, because we're about to start talking about some major spoilers about season 5, volume 1. The big circle that's around Hawkins. A part of me was thinking, very low possibility, but what if that circle's not really there and that's just her?
That literally just came into my mind a second ago.
Yeah, right? Like,
where did that wall come from?
Where the did that wall come from?
You would think in the past couple of seasons, how far we've traversed in the town of Hawkins, that they would have ran into the wall at this point. Like, it's been established that Will lives on the outskirts of Hawkins, and so does Eddie in the trailer parks. You'd think that at one point, as they're like walking to Will's house in the Upside Down or walking to Eddie's trailer, they would have gone, "Hey guys, what the heck is that big wall?" But no, it's just there now. But my problem with it is it's a physical object. Like, Hopper stabs it.
Yes, he stabs it, yeah.
His car crashes into it.
Which is very interesting. It's just like, why is that there? It would explain a little bit about the and so in season 3, where they talk about how like where the Russians were trying to open the portal in Russia, but they couldn't. And Alexei explains that location was the second part of the key. They got enough money to get the generator, to get that fucking big ass laser. They got enough money to do that. However, location was the second part, which is why they went to Hawkins and it was actually able to open. That explains that a little bit more. Like, well, there's a wall around it now, so it would explain like most of the upside down seems to be only in Hawkins, which is interesting as to why. And then originally I thought, well, as it was called in the Stranger Things play, and on Broadway, Dimension X before it was considered the upside down, because it was turned into the upside down once Vecna got Vecna'd, basically. And it was called Dimension X, so it was like there's no way it was only in Hawkins, right? Or does it get created too? Like, is there an origin story to the upside down, or has it just been there for millions of years?
Okay. Here's what I'm thinking. Because we've seen Dimension X, that whole red area, blah 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 blah.
Yes,
it's all
yes.
Red. When Elle pushes Henry through the wall, he goes into there, turns into Vecna. He gives the Mind Flayer shape into the spider thing. What happens is, from then on, it's still Dimension X. It doesn't become the upside down until Will is taken. Because I think what's happening is, because we saw Henry use his powers to shape the Mind Flayer. What happens is he takes Will's consciousness into him, but the only thing Will recognizes is Hawkins. So Vecna was forced to create the upside down in the Hawkins in Dimension X, so that Will had some place to navigate.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
That's why the upside down only exists in Hawkins. Everything, like, I think outside of that wall is Dimension X.
Yes,
that red area.
Yeah, okay. That makes total sense. That makes total sense. Now, have you heard about the lore involving the play?
I've heard a couple of things, but I never really got into it. I was debating finding a recap of it before we film this.
Okay, I already saw it. I know exactly what happens. Would you want to know?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so this is very interesting. So this whole time you think Vecna's the one, right? Like he's the guy that's been doing this the whole time, right? Well, he is. However, this all started when Henry Creel got powers. And that's been such an interesting question. It's like, how the hell did he get powers? Well, then
the random ass white boy in the fucking 70s.
Exactly, right? How the hell does he get powers? So they actually explained this in the fucking play. So his father was a war vet. They explained that in season 4. Victor Creel was a war vet, and once he comes back home, he takes his entire family. He takes the Creel family to a trip to Utah. Now, this may sound a little bit familiar because where is Max in the memories? He's in Utah. Those rocks and those are Utah. So something happens there. So based on what I saw in the recap, it has to do with some rogue. It's either a rogue, some rogue agent or like a Russian agent that stole technology from Hawkins' lab. And essentially, when Henry goes into that cave, something happens where both whoever this person is who made this technology in this cave and Henry end up in Dimension X for I think they said 2 hours. They was in Dimension X for 2 hours. He discovers the Mind Flayer and all of that, and then once he comes out, he's no longer Henry Creel. He is essentially Vecna. So I find that interesting. So he gets his powers from Dimension X, and then that made me think, well then, so yeah, Vecna is the person behind this, but the Mind Flayer is still a whole different thing. The Mind Flayer is still something completely different. And then I essentially came up with this theory because it's like it's kind of like what the Mind Flayer did with Will in season 2, where the whole season up until like the last 3 episodes, Will is Will Byers, and then all of a sudden he turns into the Mind Flayer. The Mind Flayer takes over. So Henry Creel essentially doesn't exist anymore. And so my theory is when he goes to that cave in that one scene with Max, and then he stops and he's like scared and like slightly crying a little bit, is because that's where he lost his innocence. that's where Henry Creel dies, and Vecna was born. So essentially, the Mind Flayer is still the brain, still something completely different. The Mind Flayer is still the brain, but Vecna's the body. Vecna's the body that goes out and doing the shit. So, and I find that very interesting. And then they explained in season 4 that when what was his name? The doctor. What the hell was his name? Brenner. Yeah, when Brenner couldn't figure out anything about Henry, he takes his blood and makes more. Probably does some sort of like drug mixing with his blood that woman when they're pregnant would take as like some sort of experiment, and then they end up giving birth to a baby with powers, and then they think they're dead. That's what he did. By the way, Brenner was one of the most amazing antagonists that could ever exist in from the show's existence to now. Brenner is such an amazing antagonist. Like, his character is so hateable, but it's also a character you would not hate seeing on screen again because he's such a good character.
Like, I would take zombified Brenner over that stupid ass Dr. K any day.
Oh my god, I hate Dr. K. I hate Dr. K. Nowhere near as good as Brenner.
Like, volume 2 and 3 better give me some crazy backstory and lore or justification for her actions. Otherwise, it's just, what are we doing here?
Because she's not Brenner. She's not Brenner.
Over and over again, bro. People were saying
I love the actress.
Mom or something. I don't know.
I don't know, but I love the actress, Sarah Connor. Big Terminator fan. But in that show, I hate her. I straight up hate her. But it's only been 4 episodes, so there's not really much to say about that. Considering we are short on time, I think we will skip our hot takes, which we both agreed that we don't really have that many hot takes. I think the hottest take I had was that season 4 was my favorite. I think that was the hottest take I had.
Yeah, I think the hottest take I have is that I like the Lost Sister episode with Kali.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah, you actually like that episode. I don't. I'm one of the here's the thing. That episode isn't bad. It just feels a little bit useless to be its own episode. It's nothing more than a subplot to me. The only thing that's important about that episode, in my opinion, is the 5 minutes where she teaches her teaches Eleven how to use her powers, and then 11 gets some crazy character development. But it didn't need to be a whole episode. Did not need, especially right before the finale kicked off. And that's why it feels like such a filler. It's not a filler, but it feels like a filler. And that's why I didn't like that episode. And it's not that good of an episode to begin with either. Just her partying with a bunch of drunky outcasts. It's just like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
Like, I understand they were trying to set up for a spin-off with Kali and her friends, but it's
most likely
they just weren't interesting.
It wasn't interesting, and especially
them would work.
Especially with Kali being shown. Kali was the first season. She was in the first scene of season 2. You see her and her crew outrunning cops after doing a job. They're outrunning the cops. Then they show her power, and it's like, whoa. Like, what is that? Like, it was like, wait a minute. She could break the bridge, and then all of a sudden the cop goes out and the bridge is safe, and it's just like, whoa. And then she wipes her nose, and it's like, oh, this she has powers, and then it says 8 on her arm. Very interesting. And then you don't see her till episode 6. It's like, what? Like, it's so weird. Like,
build up is crazy for something that's so I don't want to say useless, but it feels like minuscule.
Yes. It didn't need to be its own episode. It was nothing more than a subplot, which is why a lot of people end up skipping it, because they know the only thing that's really important about that episode is she learned how to use her powers better. And those are really the hottest takes we can really think of. Let us know down in the comments if you agree or disagree. Now, let's go on. We got about 23 minutes left. So, let's go on to Stranger Things, Volume 1, Season 5. As of right now, what's your review?
It's good. I really like obviously the direction of the show has changed, but what I wish they had done is I wish they had gone back to the tone and vibe of season 1, where they recreated the whole the disappearance of Will and Holly, and so we just go back to how that works. Oh shit.
That's what I thought they were gonna do when you see the episode The Vanishing of, and they funny enough they spoiled it too. They when they first released the episodes, they said The Vanishing of Holly Wheeler, and then they took it off and they just put The Vanishing of. I was like, okay, well, we know who it is now.
in my ideal version of season 5, the Demogorgon wouldn't have come out of the ceiling, whatever, blah blah blah, to grab her.
Yeah.
That huge fight. It straight up would have just been like Holly is coming home late after school from her meeting with Mr. Whatsit.
Yes,
and then
yes, that's what I was expecting.
Takes her. And then the next day, everybody's like, "Wait, where's Holly? Where's Holly?"
Yeah, all you really see, all you really see is like either like the same scene in season 1 where the Demogorgon pushes the wall, or the ceiling starts to break a little bit, but you don't actually see the Demogorgon come out of that. You just see like Holly like scream or whatever, boom, gone, just like they did with season 1 with Will. That's what I was expecting. Don't get me wrong, I do like the scene with the Demogorgon fighting the Wheelers, and my goat, Ted walk him down. Wheeler shows up. Bro, slaps up that Demogorgon.
The Wheelers have to be one of the craziest families in all of fiction. I've never seen a family run down a monster like so fast.
Yeah,
like every other.
Let's not say they didn't win that fight, but that's because the full family wasn't there. If Mike and Nancy were there, that Demogorgon was cooked.
Like we've had the jokes about Nancy walking down Wheeler, you know, with the gun and everything, and then Mike proved himself right then and there. But I genuinely wasn't expecting anything out of Ted and Karen, and then boom,
right?
Up, like that's crazy.
Yeah, but Ted was like more surprising than Karen, because like Karen was like at the last second she knew that she couldn't outrun this monster, so she was gonna defend her daughter from this monster. That was a mom. That's a mom right there. I love that scene. Like she knew she most likely wasn't gonna win it. She just broke the bottle, started stabbing the Demogorgon. That's a mom. She did, but like I mean, like she tried, and even Ted, even he tried. He saw this monster, and instead of running away, he swings at it with his golf club. Like who is this family? Like what the
craziest family in all of fiction. Like they're actually crazy. They're insane.
And you don't expect Mike to be doing anything that much either, especially like in season 2 when he's holding that stupid ass trophy in his hand, and everyone else has like you got Steve got the bat, Nancy got the revolver, not the revolver, the rifle. Hopper has an AR. Will with the wrist rocket, and then there's just Mike holding that dumb trophy. He's like, put that shit down. But what are you doing? Like,
no, it's funny because this comes after a season where we saw Mike in like high pressure situations. Like he was in a whole shootout in that house with Will, Jonathan, and them. And
yeah,
he didn't do nothing. And then now he's here fighting a flaming Demogorgon with a shovel. Like, bro,
and he's beating the hell out of it.
This is the Mike Wheeler we knew and loved in season 1, bro. We're
exactly
through 4,
exactly. Yo, and I hate it when like I've seen the Escape podcast guys, they defend Mike. They defend like they say that Mike will always continue and always to be the GOAT. Like no, he doesn't. He's a GOAT in season 1. He's a GOAT in season 1. I love Mike in season 1. Season 2, it's like he like it's a bit understandable, but like he becomes a bit of an asshole. Besides his scenes with Will, his scenes with the rest of the kids and Max, he's such an a-hole.
Oh my god, and Mike in season 3, don't even get me started, bro.
Mike's unbearable. Mike's actually unbearable in season 3.
Out of here. Like, there's a reason I have Mike on like my top 5 characters who needed to die, because for so long I thought he's useless. He serves no point in the story, and then
exactly
he came out here beating up that Demogorgon, saving his sister, and it's like, okay, now we're back to what really matters in this show.
And they made a point too. They said something like, oh yeah, well like that's kind of what it's like. It's like he's the heart of the group. He's the heart of the group. And at the end of the season, he gets 11 to lock in because of how much 11 loves her, how much the group loves Mike. I mean, how much 11 loves Mike and how much the group loves Mike. He gets them to lock in because he has a lot of leader-like moments. But it was very weak in seasons 2 to 4. Very weak.
We hadn't seen the true Mike in so long.
Yes.
And even then, we can still improve. Like, there's still so much for Mike to do in terms of his friendships with Dustin, Lucas, and Max.
It felt rinse and repeat. It felt such rinse and repeat, especially in season 3. I can't believe you would defend season 3 Mike, where like Dustin comes home after a 1-month-long camp away from Hawkins. He's gone. He's gone for a month, and we didn't have fucking iPhones then. We didn't have that. So it was like he couldn't call his boys. He couldn't radio his boys because they didn't have the technology for it. So he was gone from his best friends for a whole month. He comes back And Mike immediately leaves with 11. I get it, you're in love, but your best friend just came back. Like, they all do him dirty, don't get me wrong, but at least the other ones were willing to wait at night to hear about his girlfriend when she doesn't show up. But like,
and then in season 4 again, you're like Luke,
Will.
Will is his original best friend, his first friend that he made.
Yes.
He moved across the country. It's been 9 months since you've seen this man, and you're just gonna hang out with your girl the whole time, bro. Come on, you gotta split it 50-50.
Yeah, I can understand why people in that, like, I could kind of understand a little bit why people would be like Will's like a bad friend here, like letting 11 get bullied and all of that. Like, at the same time, it's just like, I feel like Will is just more scared and more held back because it's like he knows what 11 can do and he's afraid that those powers may come back at any moment.
I don't even think it's that. It's just that this is 11's first time being in like a normal setting.
Or a normal school, yeah.
To go to school seasons 1 through 3, and now she's in this new environment. I think it's a lot of just like letting her navigate this area by herself, so she learns like herself. Because obviously, I think Will would have stepped in, and he does confront her, and it's also implied that like they've had like talks like that before Mike showed up. And so it's like, oh, Angela may not be like, because it's not like he doesn't immediately call her out. He lets Elle lie to Mike about her friendship.
Yeah,
with Angela.
and it's not to the roller rink where he's like, why do you keep lying? Like, why do you keep lying? And then eventually, when Will sees things about to get too bad, Will finally tells Mike. And then after the whole incident happens, Mike steps up. Mike steps up for 11, like he normally does. And then after the whole crazy incident happens, and then they can't find 11 because she's hiding in like a closet, Mike gets mad at Will. Like, what? First of all, he's not the one that's been lying to you. He's been the one that's been waiting more than anyone to see you. Because yes, you're obviously best friends, but in that season it's already established that Will likes Mike. Will likes Mike. So it's like he's been waiting to see you. And you're pushing him to the side. Like, I get you're happy to see your girlfriend and all, but bro, he's your best friend. Come on now, Mike. And like anyone who defends Mike in that season is crazy. It's crazy to me.
That scene at the airport where he's just like, oh, hey, like, bro, not even like you can't even dap your boy up real quick. Come on.
He Will went in for a hug and he ends up tapping his shoulder. Like, bro, your best friend.
It's even worse when Elle's like letters are like, oh, Will is painting something. He's painting it for someone. And then he goes to the airport, sees Will with the painting, goes, what's that? Oh, it's just a painting I made. Cool. Hey, Elle! Oh my God. It's infuriating. It's infuriating.
It's really bad. It's really bad. But then season 5, like, I never thought I'd end up liking Mike again. I only liked Mike in season 1, season 2, 3, and 4, unbearable. I hated him. And then I'm watching season 5 and I'm waiting for another Mike L moment. This dude cooked this entire first part. He hasn't had a single L moment, from coming up with the idea to tranquilize the Demogorgon, from introducing his sister to the whole Dungeons and Dragons like scenario, being a good big brother. What else? What else does he does that's really good? The Demogorgon fighting the Demogorgon.
No. I will say he does have one L moment. It's not a big one, but like if you've been fighting these monsters and Demogorgons for like 4 years now, or 3 years, and you know that there's a guy out there who's making kids see things with his mind. And your little sister's talking about, oh yeah, I have an imaginary friend who tells me about monsters and Hawkins. You might want to lock in a little bit there.
Okay.
Hey, Ollie. Yeah. Who exactly are you talking to?
That's totally understandable, but he is the one that figured out that that's most likely a connection to Henry. But it's such a hard thing to think about, because he even says it. He's like, why would Vecna go after Holly? It was such a hard thing to think about. It was like, why? And it wasn't until Lucas says that thing about coincidences, it's like Mike, he starts to think. He's like, wait a minute. He's got a point. Like why the hell would he take Holly? Like
I get it, but at the same time, I feel like if it was me, I would have been like, hold on, what did you just say?
That is true. After I've gone through so much those years, if I heard something, if I heard my little sister talking about something, I have 2 little sisters. If I heard any of them talking about how like they had an imaginary friend was telling them about monsters and Hawking, I'd immediately would have just been like,
what this friend look like?
Hold up. Yeah, exactly. Like, right?
Monsters look like?
What's his name? And she knew his name. If I would have heard Henry, right off the gate, knowing what I know, assembling the team immediately, like, yo, get here now. Something's about to happen.
Yeah.
But it's like okay, it's a small L moment, but it's not that big of a deal. It's mainly,
and he makes up for it later when he locks in at the hospital with Nancy to find out that information.
And then not only that, the scene where he's directing traffic with the kids.
Yeah,
and during the Demogorgon attack. Like, where was this guy? I miss him so much.
Like, bro, Steve would have been so proud of Mike in that moment, bro.
Yeah, like,
and then Lucas in the tunnels too, bro. Oh my god, this is like you can't watch moments like that and then tell me that the show is bad. Like, this is what the show
like,
regardless of whether or not it was planned, these moments for these kids is exactly what the show has been planning for so long. Sure, Dustin doesn't get to like fight a Demogorgon, but when he walks into the church talking about it's a circle, oh my god!
Yes,
like, this is what we've been waiting for, man.
Yeah, so like these kids are no longer just a part of the story, because like I remember the first season, they're only really a part of the main story because of 11. They're the ones who get close to 11. So like they're trying to put their whole nerd like brains into this, their Dungeons and Dragons brains into what's happening in real life, and yeah, it ends up working, but they were not nearly on a bigger path than like Hopper or Joyce. Or even Nancy and Jonathan. They were doing real stuff. They were just going on possible theories, but they were kids. They couldn't really do much. Now they're doing so much. They're doing so much. Now, I have a question for you. Because we know what happens at the end. Well, before we talk about that, before I ask this question, we know what happens at the end. Quite possibly. No, this is definitely the biggest moment the show's ever had. Will Byers. You finally locked in. Holy shit!
I've been calling it since season 2. Like I've never said this like publicly, but I've always believed like Will's getting powers. I never thought it would be like this.
Right?
I thought he was gonna be able to like dimension walk. Like he would be able to like transport himself into the upside down.
Yes.
And then go back.
That's what I was thinking. I thought his powers were gonna be very similar to what he's been doing, not just the simple little goosebumps on the neck.
Yeah,
no,
not just like the spider sense. Like I thought he was
this
just, like,
dude
phase in and then like come out.
He caught a Demogorgon, catches another Demogorgon, and then another Demogorgon breaks all of their limbs. Absolutely insane. I never thought about Will getting powers until like the theory started going around before season 5 came out, and I'm like, Will getting powers? There's no way. Then I thought about it. I was like, he technically already does have powers, so it's like. Yeah, I could see him getting powers, but I did not think it was gonna be as powerful as they are.
Like I said, my original thought was him being able to go into the upside down at will and coming back at will. but then like the season started ramping up, and Robin is talking about Mike is talking to him about, hey, maybe when you're like feeling the high mind, maybe you can take control of it. So I thought he wasn't gonna do this. I thought he straight up was just gonna tell the Demogorgon to stop, and the Demogorgon would have stopped.
Yes, but no.
He would have been like, leave him alone, and then the Demogorgon would have just walked back. Because that would have been cool as hell too.
That would have been cool too. Yeah, I think what we got was way cooler because it's so unexpected. You didn't think he was gonna be that powerful. It's like you see that, and I feel like the entire community shifts so far from 11. It's just like, it's like bro, what? You never see 11 do some shit like that. Never.
It's not that 11 hasn't done anything similar in scale. It's just that it's never looked that cool, you know?
The strongest thing 11 has done was close the gate in season 2. But like it's just her pointing her hand out and screaming. It's like Will, however, he bodied 3 Demogorgons. Like that was such a good scene, and from what I heard about
it's just the presentation of the scenes, but we're definitely gonna see some like tag team duo action between the two of them. It's gonna go hard.
It's not just the two of them, and 8 as well. 8 as well.
Oh, 8.
So
yeah.
I saw someone say this, right? And based on how people treated this review, someone was like, "Oh no, but that's just too big of a coincidence." What did Mike and Lucas say about coincidences in this season? You can't overlook them. So we got 11. You got 8.
Plus 8 plus 1.
11 plus 8 plus 1 will. 20, a critical hit in Dungeons and Dragons. That can't be a coincidence. That cannot be a coincidence.
Yep. And I want to say it right now. When I think Max is gonna wake up sometime in Volume 2, because there's no way she's not gonna be up and about for
they said they said like Volume 2 is gonna be more focused about Max and all that thing. I don't think she's gonna wake up in Volume 2. Something tells me they're saving like her wake up scene for the movie release, the theater release. But the thing is I don't know what they would do unless she had powers too. I don't know what they would do.
That's what I was leading towards. Like I'm saying, Max is gonna wake up in Volume 2. Her powers in Volume 3.
I don't know what her powers would be though, because I thought she was gonna be like a Madam Web type of thing, because like how blind she was at the end of season 4. I still think she could be blind, but like when she wakes up, she could be just like totally fine again, or just a little bit crippled, or have some sort of powers.
Like I don't know what she's gonna get. I don't want to make any guesses on what power she's gonna get, but she's getting something, 100%.
Yeah, and a lot of people are theorizing too, because the Funko Pop collection, the Funko Pop series that released with season 5, 2 characters were specifically left out for some reason, and they're part of the series, but they weren't released the same time as the rest of the Funko Pops. That was, I saw Andrew talk about this on the Escape podcast. That was Murray, who wasn't let in for some reason, so that probably has to be with some sort of spoiler moment. Probably nothing too crazy. And then Max, and it's like, why was Max left out? You know, I find that very interesting. It could simply just be her and her dream fit. Could have just been simply that, because this happened before the show came out, or it could be her in like a hospital, in like the hospital gown or some shit with some sort of power, or it could just be simply like Will carrying her, because we know we're gonna get that scene. I don't know what it is, but I fully believe she's gonna get powers. I think anything is possible. I think anything is possible now. After seeing that scene, that's the Spider-Man No Way Home moment of Stranger Things. That lets you know anything is possible. Anything is possible. And even the beginning scene, Demogorgon attacking the Wheelers, I feel like the duffers in that scene are showing you that anything can happen. You can't count on anyone's death. Anyone can die here.
You know what I think it is? In Volume 2, Max and Holly are gonna go deeper into the caves, and they're going to find the memory where Henry enters Dimension X, and that's where Max is gonna get her powers. Or like Henry's gonna see Max be like, "Oh, I'm sorry for everything my future he's done to you. Take my powers." And then she's gonna wake up.
That leads to one theory I really want to talk about, and that's Vecna's plan. Now, this has been going on all over the place. Is he simply playing God? That's what I thought it was at first. But then I got to thinking, right? He's taking 12 kids. We saw what he did with one kid, that being Will. Will was the first one. Is he creating like what Brenner did, but he's doing it in his own way? That
was my thought. Like he's recreating the Rainbow Room. But for what reason, I'm not entirely sure.
Or are they just like batteries or something to his big plan? So I did so much digging, right? And there's a lot of time travel references going on in this season.
I don't like the time travel theory.
I don't either.
I gotta say.
I don't either. But it's hard to pass now. Like you got the Back to the Future reference with the flux capacitor. Scott Clark talking about the wormhole in class with Erica. And no one's pointed this one out yet. But when Will does the drawing of the kids in the room of what he saw in that one vision on the barn, if you turn it to the side, it kind of looks like a, you know.
Oh, an hourglass.
Yeah.
Like I saw the TikTok of like back in season 1 when they're looking for Will and Mike hears like the footsteps of people near him and they're saying like, oh, the older kids are hiding from their younger versions. Like it sounds cool, but I don't like it. I don't like the idea.
I don't know. I don't like the idea simply because I don't feel like time travel would work in this show, especially for a show that's based on the 80s. And I know that sounds crazy to say considering all the things we've seen, but also time travel is something that's just so overdone. So overdone.
I also think people are putting too much emphasis on the fact that the Upside Down is stuck on the day Will went missing. Because like I said earlier in the podcast, what Vecna did was take Will's consciousness, put it into his, and then build the Upside Down around it. So what is Will gonna remember? The last day he was in Hawkins. That's why Hawkins is stuck in that area.
That makes because we did find out that the Upside Down time works differently, but maybe it's not that time works differently. It's just that point in time where Will got taken. Yes, that's a great theory. That's a great theory.
That's just what Vecna built. He has no need to update it. What the fuck is Vecna gonna do with Starcourt Mall in the Upside Down, bruh? Ride the carousel?
Yeah.
You got other stuff to do.
Yeah. So yeah, I find that interesting. Did you figure out how Will's power work? How his powers work? So the Duffers did a spoiler review on this, a spoiler interview, I should say. And basically, the way his powers work is that he can control the hive mind. It's say he wanted to do like a Vecna type thing to me or you, because we're not tapped into that hive mind, he can't do it to us. He can only do it to creatures of the hive mind, and he can only do it within a certain radius of him. So if he's gone from Hawkins completely, he doesn't have these powers, which explains why when he said he was in California, he never had that feeling like he was still attached. So that's essentially how his power works. He has to have been within radius. I don't know how long the radius is of someone that is tapped into that hive mind, and that's what he can control.
I think I understand where you just hit 11, but my last thought is I think what Vecna is gonna do with the kids is he's not just recreating the Rainbow Room and creating his own like army to take over the world or whatever. I think he's going to use them to create one mega gate. Like,
that's I like the idea of that better than like simple time travel, because it's like time travel is like I don't sit with time travel. Like I'm sure it could be done really well, because I didn't like the idea of the Avengers using time travel in Avengers Endgame, but it turned out to be a very important part of the story. But it's like it's so overdone to this point. Like I just kind of want to take a break from time travel.
Like I think what we're gonna see is the Nancy, Jonathan, Steve, Dustin, they're gonna head to Hawkins' lab, which is like they said it was like at the center of town or something. It was at the center of the circle, and they're gonna see it, and they're gonna notice like, oh, a lot of this stuff is getting like crazier the deeper we go underground. And then when they finally go underground, it's gonna be the caverns where the kids are, and that's where the mega gate is gonna open up.
Yes, and I remember you saying one theory that I remember when we were watching the show back. Well, I was watching the show back. You were watching the final episode for the first time, and you said that you feel like it was a mistake that they went into the Upside Down. And then part of me started thinking about it. I was like, yes, that's true. But then I was like, well, Hopper and 11 is there too, and now 8 is down there as well. So I feel like at some point, those two groups are gonna, mash together, because they're both stuck in the Upside Down right now.
That's true. But also, 8 and them, they're at the military base where the gate is.
Yes, exactly.
So I think what's gonna happen is like Elle's gonna like sense or something that like Will's doing something over there, and they're gonna go, all right, this is our time for us to go to the gate.
Yeah, I'm excited for Volume 2, as we all should. Fortunately, the time has been running out, because we would have had a little bit more time, but we've hit 55 minutes, so we've hit a good enough mark. So we'll end it off this one thing. Final score rating for season 5, volume 1. What's your score rating? I would say 8. It's an 8 out of 10 for me, because the first 2 episodes, I'm not saying the first 2 episodes are bad. They're good episodes, but like they're kind of just like toss-up episodes. It's like you could almost kind of forget about them just a little bit. The endings are about those episodes are really what are more important.
I really just think it was a good season all around. I would have preferred a couple more character moments.
Yes.
Characters like we never even got to talk about like Steve, Jonathan, and Nancy in depth about their characters and stuff.
No, we didn't.
It's reasonable.
But if you're down for another video about that, let me know. If you want longer podcast episodes, let me know. This is just a pilot.
Yeah, we should do another one after Volume 2 comes out.
Yeah, 100%. Yes, yes. So stay tuned for that. Another podcast will be dropping sometime after Christmas about Volume 2. My final score rating is going to be an 8 out of 10 because it's like the first 2 episodes were more lore dump than I was expecting. Don't get me wrong, it's crazy because it jumped straight into the finale essentially. Like 30 minutes into the episode, Hopper has an AR already. It immediately kicks off. But they move fast, but they also do a good job at just lore telling, which you won't think they will be doing because it's the finale season. So it's like you think they'll just do straight into the action, straight into the finale. No, there's still stuff you need to learn, which I like. Which is why those first 2 episodes are like, they're good episodes, but like 3 and 4, those are way better episodes. Way better episodes.
Yeah. Shout out to the GOAT, Derek Turnbow.
Yes, we deserve him. We owe him an apology. Easily one of the greatest characters, the fastest character development I've ever seen. We had dipshit Derek to delightful Derek. Y'all ain't ready for deadly Derek, yo. Y'all is not ready for deadly Derek.
Deadly Derek finna go
crazy. Deadly man. Derek's gonna go crazy. Shout out to Dragon Origins.
He's gonna morph into a Demogorgon.
No, Derek is the Mind Flayer. Derek's the one that started it all. Yeah, Derek's the Mind Flayer. Yeah, but shout out to Dragon Origins for joining us on this first episode of the Nerd House. Most likely going to be the name of this podcast. You'll most likely see him on other episodes because he's the only one that can really go nerd for nerd with me. He knows more nerd shit than I do, honestly. So thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. I gotta go to work now, even though I wasn't supposed to work today. And we'll see you in the next episode of Envy Talk Cinema. Peace out, guys.